Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. It's now headed toward Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. These pictures from a government reconnaissance plane show the eye of the storm. Gilbert's now packing winds of 175 miles an hour and a hemisphere record low barometric pressure of 26.13 inches. Tuesday, the National Hurricane Center upgraded Gilbert to a Category 5 hurricane, makes it capable of catastrophic damage. There have only been 2 such storms this century. Both were devastating. Gilbert's moving to the west-northwest at 17 miles an hour. It's 150 miles from Cozumel, Mexico. Also in its path is another resort, Cancun, and Jeff Levine is there.
Cancun is hoping for the best, but it's apparent that this resort community is going to get much of the worst of Hurricane Gilbert. Hotels along the posh beachfront are being evacuated in anticipation of the storm's fury. It's as though the hurricane was an advancing army. Late Tuesday afternoon, the reality that Gilbert would strike finally took hold.
I'm very upset.
Nightfall brought more wind and rain. Some tourists complained that the big hotels weren't doing enough to protect their guests, but tourists moved out in an orderly fashion.
We are moving everybody to the shelters in downtown, which will be very safe, because since the beginning, the guests have been our main concern.
A killer storm is a glaring contradiction to Cancun's image of romance and beauty. And even as this community waits anxiously for Gilbert, some believe the bad dream will end soon.
Most people would say you might be nuts coming into a hurricane like this.
Well, get in your car, there's more chance of something happening than what we're doing.
We bought a vacation package. We got to come.
For those stuck in Cancun, the next 24 hours may be among the most anxious in their lives. Avoiding Gilbert will be difficult or impossible. And as the hours pass, this vacation haven turns into a nightmare of wind and rain. Jeff Levine, CNN, Cancun, Mexico.
Gilbert is being blamed for as many as 31 deaths in Jamaica. It thrashed the island Monday, leaving a quarter of the island's population homeless in what officials there call the worst disaster in modern times. Damage is said to be less severe in the Cayman Islands. Crews are working to restore full electric and phone service there. Cayman's main airport is scheduled to reopen Wednesday morning. The Yucatan Peninsula is not likely to escape as easily.
This hurricane could produce hurricane-force winds anywhere on the Yucatan Peninsula. The storm surge flooding could go 12 to 15 feet above the normal tide, and for some of the barrier islands there, like Cozumel, this could inundate almost the entire island.
Gilbert's expected to move up the Gulf Coast from Mexico, coming ashore near Galveston, Texas, Friday night. Although official warnings have not been posted, residents there are already stocking up on emergency provisions, and Tony Clark is in Galveston.
They're boarding up the windows and stocking up on supplies in Galveston, hoping that Hurricane Gilbert will miss the Texas coast, but preparing in case it doesn't.
I don't usually buy this many canned goods. I'm preparing for hopefully what's not coming.
Work crews have been combing the beaches, picking up metal garbage cans, pulling in lifeguard stands, securing anything that could be picked up by the near-record winds and surging waves of the hurricane.
In past years, the people of Galveston have waited almost until the last minute to prepare for a hurricane. This year, it's different.
Many of the local lumber yards have sold out of plywood. Demand has been so great. More is being shipped in as homeowners prepare for the worst. Alicia was the last major hurricane to hit this part of the Texas coast. That was 5 years ago. Hurricane Alicia caused extensive damage. Hurricane Gilbert has the potential to do much more.
People are concerned, and people are aware that they're going to have to get out of here. There are basically no shelters. We're in an area of extreme danger, and people have to leave Galveston Island.
At one end of Galveston Island, beachfront homes have been locked and shuttered. There's not much else their owners can do. At the other end of the island, a movie company is trying to get in as much filming as it can before the storm hits.
I mean, you can't shoot when it's a hurricane. You can't do anything but get out of the way. And it looks like we're vulnerable to this one right now.
Still, some here say they aren't worried, at least not yet.
Try not to worry about it. I worry too much as it is anyhow.
If it gets close enough, I'll be leaving.
So if it got real bad and they said take off, we'd do it. But as far as worrying about it, don't do it.
88 years ago this month, Galveston was hit by a killer hurricane. Winds gusted to 120 miles an hour. Nearly 16-foot waves surged over the island. An unbelievable number of people were killed by the hurricane. The death toll, 6,000. Now, another potentially deadly hurricane may be heading this way. And all along the Texas Gulf Coast, people are watching and waiting to see where it will hit. Tony Clark, CNN, Galveston.
And every hour at this time, we check on the tropics. And by the way, with Hurricane Gilbert packing the punch that it has now, we'll have an update as well at 25 after the hour. Here's a look at our big picture, the entire western shot, a tropical wave heading into Trinidad and Tobago. But Hurricane Gilbert grabbing the headlines once again. Top winds are 175 miles an hour. Still, believe it or not, gusty winds and rain affecting much of Jamaica tonight. And still a hurricane warning out there for the Cayman Islands, although the brunt of it now shifting and heading over toward the western part of Cuba and the northern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. Here's a close-up view. The eye filling in a little bit the past couple of hours, so the pressure has gone up a little bit. And remember, the Hurricane Center will be sending a plane back in there. They should be in there shortly, and they'll be relaying information back to us, and we'll have that for you as soon as we can. But you can see there's Jamaica. In about a 24-hour period, it has gone from just offshore Jamaica all the way to within 150 miles of the Cozumel area of Mexico. Top winds 175, and it roughly now is 150 miles to the east-southeast of Cozumel. So we'll have to watch it very carefully. Let's get a look at where the hurricane is located, 19.9 north and 84.8 west. Top winds 175, the strongest hurricane on record, as well the deepest, meaning the lowest pressure, which at one time had been 26.13 inches. Now it is at 26.28, and it continues tracking west-northwest, and unfortunately Cancun and Cozumel right in the path as it is moving in that direction at 15 miles an hour. Again, the tropical storm and near hurricane force winds are heading toward Cozumel and Cancun. Still very gusty winds around the Isle of Pines and also the western part of Cuba. And even around Grand Cayman, they're not out of the woods as of yet. Matter of fact, all the areas in darker orange indicative of where we now have a hurricane warning. As mentioned, the Florida Keys already pretty windy tonight. Cudjoe Key to the northeast of Key West had a wind gust of 54 miles an hour last hour, and already the high clouds coming on up. And again, by tomorrow, that hurricane will definitely be in the Gulf, so we'll have to watch it as it moves on off toward the northwest. And once again, we'll watch that wave down around Trinidad.
Well, weakening a whole lot from its current sustained winds of 175 miles per hour. Take you on back north to Florida briefly here, and we'll show you the effects that Gilbert had earlier today around the Key West, Florida area with some squally weather from those northernmost fringes. Wind gusts at times were close to 50 miles per hour today, and at the present time, wind gusts at Cudjoe Key now 60 miles per hour. Surf's up. Of course, with a dangerous hurricane, it can be way up too high. Let's go ahead and give you some more information about Gilbert here. And boy, look at that. Isn't that a pretty sight? It really is. Back down to Gilbert, and we'll go ahead and show you that Gilbert continues to move off about a heading of 285 degrees just north of due west, and appears to be taking dead aim right there in the northeasternmost tip of the Yucatan Peninsula. Give you a little bit of pertinent information about Gilbert. Maximum sustained winds 175 miles per hour. Some gusts perhaps close to 200 miles per hour. I think it will cross the northeastern tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, the area around Cancun and Cozumel, potentially to see some very serious devastating damage. And then on into the Gulf of Mexico. Where it goes from there, we're not sure, but may eventually end up making landfall somewhere along the Gulf Coast of the U.S. Best chances of that happening somewhere from the Texas Gulf Coast, Central Gulf Coast, on up towards, so let's say, the area around Mississippi, Alabama Gulf Coast, maybe on up towards Pensacola. Too early to tell. We'll just simply have to wait till we get a little better handle with these hurricane force winds approaching the Yucatan Peninsula right now, where hurricane warnings still are flying. More weather, including a regional update after this.